It's Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness! Come on!
What is happening? I hope you played the Red Sox this afternoon. That probably would have helped you. If you did not play the Red Sox today, you either min-cashed or got your butt kicked. Hello, and welcome to Run Pure Sports. It's MLB Swing for the Fences. DC and K Phallic is here. A free show today. As you see on your screen, 20% off for life. Any and all packages. Just use the promo code NFL20. 20% off for life. You die, we die. That's the only way it goes down. Everybody else, you stick around. We're going to be around a long time, so everybody can make some money and join up. Oh, Phallic. Why are you smiling like that?
How you doing today, Holden? It's great to see you.
Surprised to see you on a free show. Very happy to see you on a free show, though.
I killed Mangone after making the suggestion of doing whatever he did to win those tickets for your members. I killed him, so I thought I needed to come on and take his spot for a day.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Did you kill him personally, or did you just do it in the Discord?
I killed him.
Oh, he's gone. Like he's not coming back.
Gone.
DC, we are witness to a crime. I hope K Phallic's kidding, but I kind of feel like he might be serious.
It would make sense. It's a kind of an uninspiring 5-game slate tonight, but still a little bit unlike Mr.
And then there were two.
To no-show the show. He's not answering DMs, and now Kevin's saying perhaps Mangone has departed this world. So hopefully not true. We need Mangone for the content here at RPS. He's an ally of DC. He's my number one pupil in the basketball streets as a famous coach. So yeah, we'll hope Mangone's doing fine, and maybe he just didn't want to come on and talk about this 5-game baseball slate.
Do you want to know the real reason I came on today was because we have Nick Martini back on the slate for the first time in a year. Mm-hmm. And when Nick Martini makes his way onto a slate, you got to show your face. It's time to party.
Can you give us a little background of why we need to party for Nick Martini? Because his last name's Martini.
His last name's Martini.
Mm-hmm.
He also is a 33-year-old journeyman who somehow is batting 5th for the Cincinnati Reds tonight. So yeah.
Kind of like the game Clue. Can you give us where and how you dispatched of Mr. Mangone?
Nope. You got to figure it out yourself.
Okay. Looks like this is a mystery. DC, sad day in baseball yesterday. Tommy John surgery needed for Ohtani-san. He's going to be able to hit. You can hit still with TJ, which is very bizarre, but the pitching side seems to be down, at least for next year. I don't care how much money this is going to cost him. The guy is rich. The guy is great at what he does. My question would be, do you think this is the end of the great Ohtani on the mound? Because we're going to get the great hitter still for quite a few more years. I wonder if you think we've seen the best of Shohei on the bump.
Certainly possible. This will be his second Tommy John surgery, assuming he does indeed get that. I think it's possible you can hit if he decides to be a full-time hitter without getting the surgery, but I would guess he'll get it. And I don't know, just based on kind of what we know about Ohtani, the desire to do both, the desire to keep pitching deep into seasons, even when the Angels season is lost. I would guess he'll have the surgery and come back and pitch well. I think it's really interesting. Obviously he's going to get a massive contract either, but there's no question. I mean, this injury costing him hundreds of millions of dollars potentially, I think. And I thought he still might, but I thought for sure he was a lock for essentially the biggest sports contract of all time. I think that's somewhat in question now. I was just curious to see how much he was going to get. I thought with the global pull he has as the true face of baseball right now, I thought he had a chance to, if he finished strong, pitching, healthy, everything, to get $1 billion contract. I think that's completely off the table at this point. But yeah, obviously hope he's fine. Pretty incredible. He still started the second game of the doubleheader with the torn UCL yesterday, had an extra base hit. I know we were on the show, Holden, yesterday, and I I had a bad feeling about the injury, just saying arm fatigue. He had some tingling in his hand. And then once he was in the starting lineup for the second game, I was like, I guess he's going to be okay. Maybe not so bad, but obviously not the case. So wishing the best for Ohtani, the most fun player to watch in baseball. And, if you're as big a fan of baseball as I am, one of the most fun players to watch
ever
in all sports. So.
Yeah.
I don't think the financial piece is going to matter, actually, in my opinion, DC, because it's just there is no salary cap in baseball. So when there's no salary cap, they're just gonna spend. Somebody's gonna just spend the money to spend the money because they know that there's value in it. The question is whether he's going to be able to pitch any longer and what that pitching looks like. But I still think he's gonna get that contract no matter what.
I mean, he's still gonna get $500 million. I just don't think he's gonna get the $1 billion that he could have. But he's obviously he'll be all right money wise. We don't need to worry about that.
Yeah. Tell you what's interesting. I wonder how long he was pitching with this torn UCL, because his arm's been hurting him for a while, and he's been saying that. He's like, something doesn't feel right. It's entirely possible Ohtani has made multiple starts with a torn UCL, guys. Absolutely possible. And who knows how long he's been swinging the bat with it. I'm just excited now to see if he can get to 60 home runs, Fallick.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you'd think that the medical experts would be able to see a torn UCL if he had a torn UCL, but I don't know how this stuff works. All I know is that it's a sad day, to be honest, when that happened. Not only that, but like Mike Trout getting back on the DL again. Yeah. Like it's just I feel bad for the Angels. I also kind of laugh at the situation the Angels have put themselves in. But you have to feel bad for these players, at least, that they can't stay healthy. These are two of the best players our generation has seen, I would say. And neither of them have been able to stay healthy, and they've been on the same team, and that was what they were building this team around. So it's pretty sad. I
just got word that Mangone is leaving to a wedding, guys. Are we buying this? He's just magically leaving to a wedding. Is he getting married?
I'm just glad to hear he's alive. So
yeah, you know what? That is a great point. I'm glad Fallick did not tie a bag around him, put some cement on his feet, and drop him at the bottom of the ocean. The only other thing that I want to talk about before we get into this slate here, Steven Strasburg retiring. Like, we talk about all the hype behind Ohtani. I would say, and I was working on sports radio in DC with him one year, and the next year Bryce Harper was drafted. And I would say that Steven Strasburg is the most hyped prospect that I've ever seen in my life. And maybe it's because I was there, but I don't remember a player. Maybe it was Bryce Harper. Between him and Bryce Harper, Harper was on Sports Illustrated at 16, but Strasburg was this mythical creature coming out of college, throwing 101 when no one else was throwing 101. DC, this guy, I think if he could have stayed healthy 3 more years, he would have been a Hall of Famer doing what he was doing. People are going to forget how great he was, but there's 5 seasons maybe where he was just about as good as it gets as far as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, absolutely. I still remember his MLB debut. What did he strike out, like 15 guys?
14, 12 or 14. Yeah.
Which I think, obviously he was hyped coming up, but when you're hyped coming up and then you open your major league career with a performance like that, it obviously kind of, explodes even more into life. And he got paid. Nationals won a World Series. Mm-hmm. So, disappointing end to his career, I suppose. But, he kind of got the 2 big things that you're looking at, a World Championship. Did he win a Cy Young? I'm not sure if he did or not. But he got a World Series and he got the big contract. So, yeah, I'm sure, wished he could have pitched longer, but still a really strong career. I've heard some people say didn't live up to expectations. I think that's BS. Yeah.
I mean, you can't. He struck out 14 in that game, DC. He was at that point, he set the bar so hard. He was so high, he was supposed to be the greatest pitcher ever. And he never would have lived up to it. He was a great pitcher. Great.
Fantastic. Yep. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Fallick, Steven Strasburg. What do you remember about him?
Well, what I remember about him is his World Series run that he went on in World Series MVP. What a great series that was, if I remember correctly. But the interesting thing is I guess the question is, what's his insurance plan look like to make sure he's able to recoup all this money that he's going to in theory, lose due to injury that he's now decided to retire.
Baseball contracts are guaranteed, so I assume he worked it out with the Nationals where they're just going to pay him anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. Injuries are no fun in Major Leagues Baseball, and we're seeing it in the NFL too with these retirements. I know it's like a smaller story, but Corey Davis, top 10 draft pick or whatever he was, and he retired yesterday. Like, it's just he's only 6 years into his career, I want to say, and he's already done. It's just weird. It's a tough world right now. You make money is the thing, and they make decisions in life early in their lives.
He made the Nationals money because I'll tell you, in his debut, they were getting, like, they might have announced that they had 20,000 a game. You'd have 7,000 people in the stands. He goes, they sold the place out. And maybe my biggest mistake in the history of sports was taking a woman with like triple D's as opposed to my friend, because I really didn't pay attention to it. I was just locked in on her boobs the whole time. It was a very unfortunate situation, but nonetheless, he had a great one. It was great. Have I never heard of Danny Almonte? Yes, Dwayne. I've heard of Danny Almonte. I have. He was a pitcher, and when he was like 17, he was married to like a 30-something-year-old woman. It was pretty impressive. Good for Danny Almonte. You remember Danny Almonte? Good times. Very good stuff. All right, we got 5-game slate. Ohtani needs to call it a season and opt for surgery. Halos are done. That dude loves playing. I really think he wants to get to 60, guys. Maybe even 62 at this point. I mean, he's not gonna lay down, is he? No. 5-game slate. Few pitchers. Before we do that, DC, what's going on with the weather tonight? Looks like we got 2 or 3 games with some question marks. And of course, as we talked yesterday on Up to Lock on the premium show, there could be some problems in Cleveland, and the Cleveland problems arose. Do we see anything going on tonight?
I think we should be good. Baltimore is one of the games with some risk. That looks pretty safe to me right now, looking at the radar. And then the other question mark is in Chicago. But I think both these games are going to be fine. We'll keep an eye on it, of course, as we get closer to lock. But, yeah, not nearly as dangerous as the Cleveland game yesterday. I do expect both games to play just fine.
All right.
Yeah, the games are going to play, but the question is whether there's a delay in Chicago, and I don't think it really matters even if there is a delay in Chicago, because I don't think anybody's playing these pitchers. So I think we'll be just fine.
Anyone playing the pitchers is a braver man than me. I'll say that.
Waldichuk and Schultens.
Yeah.
Waldichuk, we'll get to Waldichuk here in a second because he hasn't been as bad recently, but let's go from 8-2 up, guys. We'll start with you, DC. We got Pablo Lopez, Justin Steele. Steele's in a great spot. Merrill Kelly hosting Cincinnati has been striking out a ton. Don't look now, but the Diamondbacks are back alive. What is it, 9 of 11 they've won? Yeah, they won 9 of 11 after sucking so bad, after losing 9 straight. So that's pretty good. And Pablo Lopez, 19 straight innings without giving up a run, DC, 22-3 K to walk ratio. I don't care if he's going up against Texas tonight. He's in a good spot, isn't he?
Well, I wouldn't say he's in a good spot, but he's a good enough pitcher to overcome the spot is what I would say about Pablo Lopez. I mean, yeah, it's hard to argue going up against Texas is a good matchup. It's a really, really strong lineup. Second best lineup, I think, in baseball behind the Braves. But like you said, Pablo Lopez, we've been on him during this run. I mean, he's been lights out like 90% of the time for his last 20 starts, something like that. Like very rarely a bump in the road. Now, maybe he has one here. Obviously, the matchup is tough. It is good hitting conditions in Target Field in Minneapolis tonight. But when you get pitchers this good, and I think it's fair to put Pablo Lopez kind of in the ace tier, the bona fide ace tier. Good pitching does overcome good hitting if the pitcher is on. And Lopez, nobody's been on more often than Lopez has. So, yeah, I think he's a good option. I think it's close between these top 3 guys who you want to go with as your SP1, SP2. Justin Steele, he's not as good a pitcher as Lopez, just skill-wise, but he's been excellent too. Maybe not quite the ceiling, not quite the strikeout stuff, but man, a way, way better matchup for him going up against the Pittsburgh team than it is going up against this Rangers team for Lopez. So I think it's close between Steele and Lopez. And then Kelly might be my favorite pitcher on the night. He's got a long history, not as much this year, but in the past of performing much better at home in Arizona, where he is tonight. Obviously, roof going to be closed. And then this Reds lineup. Listen, they've got some dangerous hitters. I think the future is bright for the Reds, but there's a lot of strikeouts to be had. They've got Kevin's boy Nick Martini in the 5-hole, which kind of says a lot about this lineup. I think Merrill Kelly could have a ceiling type performance up to 102 pitches in his last start. He can give you, 6-7 innings most times out. So I think all three of these guys, and I do think today is a pretty good day in general to spend on pitcher.
All right, very good. Fallick, let's get your thoughts. 8-2 and up tonight. I don't even know if you're going to go below that, but we'll start with Gibson going for Baltimore up through Barrios, Kelly, Steele, and Pablo Lopez. And maybe you could start with Steele, as a matter of fact, in the spot that he's in, because the Pirates have not been able to hit lefties in the second half, with 27th in WOBA.
Yeah, it's definitely a good spot for Mr. Steele today. I think that he's definitely in play. I would play him easily over Pablo Lopez. I'd also play him over Merrill Kelly if I were choosing between those three. And you're telling me I had to play one of those three. Definitely going with Steele of those three. I personally like also the two guys below with Gibson and Barrios at 8.2. Those are probably going to be my two guys that I land on. Good park, pitching best weather, I guess, except for the dome game per se on the slate. And both these teams definitely have some strikeouts in their lineup as well. Toronto has been striking out plenty. Their lefties are what you get worried about with Kyle Gibson. Problem is that for them, their lefties are Brandon Belt, Dalton Varsho, who has really struggled this year. It's really been sad to see. I thought he was going to be a really big piece of this run for Toronto, and then Mr. Biggio is the other one, and three of them are all strikeout potential players as well. And then you have these righties that definitely strike out plenty with it. So I do like both of these pitchers out in Baltimore tonight, personally.
All right, so DC, then we go to the other side of Pablo Lopez. That's to be Andrew Heaney, and I just can't trust the Twins, but they've been above average, 109 WRC plus second half. So we got that going for them. There's Waldichuk, who in the second half of 33 innings has a 3.63 FIP, 39 Ks in 33 innings. The weather will probably keep us off of him, right? And maybe just the fact that he's Waldichuk will keep us off of him as well. So rounding things out with Haney, Williamson, Waldichuk, Schultens, and the rest here. Anybody that we can dumpster dive and try and save a little salary, or are we spending up a pitcher tonight?
Yeah, mostly spending for me. I do agree with Kevin for the most part. Barrios, Gibson, I think, are both solid options. I still like Kelly and Steele better. But yeah, Barrios, Gibson, absolutely in play. I don't mind sounds like Fallick might be going for the pitcher game stack there in Baltimore. I think that's certainly a reasonable approach to have tonight. In terms of these cheaper dudes, Andrew Heaney, I don't love it against this right-handed heavy Minnesota lineup. I actually think the Twins could be in line for a decent offensive day. Like them as a somewhat sneaky stack. Obviously, on a 5-game slate, you're not going to get too sneaky, but they'll be lower owned than most, I think. Williamson, easy no for me, just not very good. Doesn't go deep into games. Waldichuk, Schultens, no, some weather risk. And 95 degrees and winds blowing out in Chicago. There's just no way I'm playing either of those guys. And then that leaves one more guy who I do think is an okay play. That's Andre Jackson for the Pirates. Played him in his last start, I believe, against Minnesota. It's pretty good in that one. 5,100 got you 13.6 fantasy points. Scheduled to be the long reliever. I wouldn't play him on a normal slate, but on a 5-gamer for his price tag at 5,600, he's really the only guy that I'm willing to use down here. And when that's the case, like, using him does give you access to a little bit different build that other people that don't use him could get. So, yeah, if you're going cheap, if you need the savings, if you're trying to stack up some big bats, Andre Jackson would be the guy that I would use that's cheap.
By the way, guys, I just checked out the playbook. Gary wrote it today. under Brandon Williamson. I also like Waldichuk and Schultens quite a bit until I saw it's hotter than Lucifer's armpit in a sunstorm in Chicago. I mean, that's Hemingway-esque right there, Gary. Congratulations, buddy. I know you're watching. That was
who's Gary's ghostwriter, man? There's no way Gary came up with those eloquent words.
You think he has a ghostwriter?
Well, I didn't until you gave me the Hemingway Gary. Now he must, because there's no way.
Chat GPT possibly a little action.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, is that what it was? Lucifer's armpit. All right, let's go. Let's go, Fallick. The rest of the pitching here. Lucifer's armpit, that is.
Yeah, Andrew Heaney definitely is not a guy I'm playing tonight. I do not have much interest in him. It's an interesting slate because there are definitely bats that you really want to consider in spots if you're liking specific spots. Like I personally am, I think, different than DC. I like Cincinnati and Arizona a little more, and those guys are very expensive tonight if you want to get the good pieces of them. But I played Andre Jackson last week. What makes me more interested in Andre Jackson tonight is actually that he is going to be the long reliever, so he almost has a better chance of getting a win. Like he won't get pulled as quickly past the, like if he's pitching well, you can consider this other guy pitching 2 innings. He's pitched 30 pitches almost every single time, and then he comes in for the 3rd inning through the 6th inning or the 7th inning, and he's in play for a win if you really think Pittsburgh has a chance of winning. Obviously there's the chance that there's a good chance Pittsburgh does not win, but at least those 4 points on DraftKings are very valuable if you're playing a guy like Andre Jackson, because you're playing him for his K upside and the win potential is the way I would look at it. Like he has good K upside and win potential if you're wanting to go that route. So he is the only guy that I'm looking at as well down low. I wish I could have interest in Waldichuk and Schultens and all those guys, but I haven't played any Oakland or White Sox pitchers, I think, mostly all season, and I don't really want to any time soon. So
I'd have rolled with a little Waldichuk tonight. I'm only playing 3 lineups. We got NFL coming up tonight, but I'd have rolled with a little bit of him. But again, Lucifer's armpits. We're going to have to talk about how we're handling that game, though, because of the weather. Anyway, speaking of the playbook, so here's what we do, and it's not just for baseball, but baseball specifically, since you're all watching right now. Gary did it today. Steve Boynton's doing it sometimes. Uncle T's doing it sometimes. What they'll do is they'll go into every single slate. They'll break it down. They'll give you your thoughts on the best pitchers. Sometimes they'll give you 4. Sometimes they'll give you 8, depending on how big the slate is. They'll break it down, tell you exactly why they like these. They'll go position by position, give you 5 or 6 guys position by position, who it is, why they like it. They'll give you the salaries, and then they'll do a write-up on both pitching and the offenses. So that's just for this. NFL right around the corner. Matter of fact, 2 weeks from today, it's back, the regular season, 17 days until the first Sunday. We've got some monster plans coming up here for NFL season, and this is about as good a deal as you're going to get, folks. You missed out on the 23%. Next, it's going to be 15%. So get in right now. NFL 20, 20% off for life, any and all packages. You also get access to our Discord, where Big T, JSU, AP, all the big guys. JBC is here now. All the big guys are in there all the time talking with our subscribers. You get Fallick in there. Fallick always trolling this show. DC's in there, Boynton too. So check it out, runpuresports.com. Check out the bet side, runpurebets.com as well. Use the code NFL20, 20% off. DC, before we get into anything here, because of the weather, we're a little bit scared off of the pitching. How do you want to handle Oakland at the White Sox with 93 degrees and the wind's blowing out? I guess we could actually start with this game, even though it's technically
Can we do FanDuel, because it's the only site that I actually have a core on?
FanDuel. You're no longer banned.
Awesome. So on FanDuel, I think it's an interesting slate for pitchers, to be honest. I think you either are paying way up or you're taking a weird shot on one of these guys down low. Specifically, again, Andre Jackson, which is a little weird to say. He's not listed as as a pitcher. You have to type him in and search him, which is always fun to do. He's only 5.8K on FanDuel. But you have the guys, there's really no mid-tier on FanDuel today, which is you have Gibson and Berrios are both 9.9K on FanDuel. So I don't see how you can play Berrios and Gibson when Merrill Kelly is 300 more, Justin Steele is 500 more, and then Pablo Lopez is only 1,000 more. So I think playing Pablo Lopez is much more in play on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings for me personally. Because as DC said, he's ace quality, and you're getting basically every single start he's pitched 6 innings almost the entire season, or has gotten into the 6th inning, which is also valuable. Obviously, you have to avoid the hard-hitting Texas team, but getting Pablo Lopez at 10.9 when the other choices are only $1,000 cheaper, I think makes him a nice play tonight on FanDuel. Is kind of the way I'm looking at it.
I mean, Fallick, first of all, on a free show. Second of all, talking FanDuel after they were mean to him today. Very impressive, Fallick. Very resilient. Any thoughts real quick, DC, on FanDuel, or are we all set?
No, it looks somewhat similar. I think Fallick made a good point about Lopez over there. But yeah, pricing otherwise, I'm still going to target, same offenses that I was. And I still do have Steele and Kelly over Pablo, even with the pricing difference. I just think the matchup's so much easier for those guys. But I get going Lopez over on FanDuel for sure.
Okay, so let me just address something too, because we're going to talk about this Oakland White Sox game. King of Smack, Oakland, Chicago game's a stay away for me. Both teams are bad. Both teams do fail. I don't think that's great logic. I'm not calling you out, not getting personal here, but I think that's why you win slates. You go to teams that people are very uncomfortable rostering. So, DC, let's just get into this. They're both actually in decent spots with the pitching. Neither bullpen is good, and the weather is ideal for hitting unless, these storms move in and really screw things up. So I did like a little Waldichuk, but I think once you get to the bullpens on this team, it really gets out of hand. How do we handle the White Sox hosting the A's today?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird spot. I do get the point, King of Smack is trying to make. These are going to be two very popular teams. The A's and the White Sox are two teams that I've barely stacked all year long, two really bad offenses, and they're going to be two offenses that are popular tonight. So, yeah, if you want to get different and avoid, frankly, most of these hitters outside of a few guys on each team really haven't performed at all this year. So I get it from that perspective. That said, I am on the other side. I do want to get hitters from this game. I do think the Chicago stuff is always a little bit of a worry, right? With the heat and the wind, you kind of worry, especially when there's potential storms coming. But looking at the future forecast, the radar, I do think this weather pattern that we're targeting for bats, heat, humidity, winds blowing out, is going to hold for this game. So I'm in here. I mean, assuming the forecasted weather does hold, it's like any, medium deep fly ball out to left center field, it's going over the wall tonight. And these teams, despite having their struggles offensively, both teams do have a decent amount of power, especially near the top of their lineup. So I'm in on both sides. I like the lefties generally better for the A's. It's Noda, Seth Brown are the two guys that I think are best. But, Zach Geloff, you can't ignore him in the 2-hole. He's crushed righties, and then Rooker's got power too. So I really like the top four for Oakland. And then for the White Sox, pretty much the right-handed power, which is the middle of that lineup, right? Luis Robert, Eloy, and Andrew Vaughn, I think, are the three best plays there. Won't be playing Tim Anderson. He's the one guy that I'll go ahead and cross off my list. But, yeah, the early to middle parts of both these lineups look good to me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the radar right now because it's 100 degrees out there, and it's supposed to go down to 90 with a ton of wind blowing out. And it doesn't look, 6:30 Central, so it's 30 minutes away. Yeah, you're right. The pitching there, that's just horrible conditions for pitchers. I think I could sell myself on some A's right now. What do you think here, Fallick, with the A's in Chicago taking on the White Sox?
Yeah, I think it's a really nice spot. As was said, the question is do you want to play? It's a 5-game slate, so let me first say that you're always going to have places to get different as well as chalky pieces as well. And it looks like the top of the order for Oakland is the chalky pieces, and then the entire lineup for Chicago is looking like they're going to be heavily owned. These are two of the worst bullpens in baseball. Like, that's the big thing to really think about. If there is a rain delay, you're going to get, like, in the third inning. Again, I don't believe this game is going to get canned at all. It's just going to be a rain delay, and it's going to pop up and go away. If that happens, you're going to have some really nice some really nice innings with terrible bullpen for elongated time. DC, do you know the breakdown of lefties versus righties in the bullpen for each team? I'm looking it up right now. I didn't know if you.
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I can look it up quick.
All right. Anyways, while we're waiting,
I think it's always easy to get different by playing the opposite handed of the pitcher. Like, if Waldichuk is starting, people are going to play righties for Chicago more than they're going to play lefties. But you could easily play, and it may be a bad example because they really only have 2 lefties. But for Oakland, like, Rooker is going to be lower owned solely because he's a righty. And I think you can play him and get him at probably some nice ownership. And then these bottom of the order guys, Lawrence Butler, he was good in the minors. So I think that you could definitely look at him. He's like, you got Corey Lee catching tonight. Lawrence Butler stole a lot of bases in the minors. So maybe you can get one today, but yeah.
King of Smack, if the A's White Sox is a good game, why are you going to have a share of it? Why don't you just fade it if it's not good? Because you said cut the BS. You don't win no slates like that. Again, if you don't like the game, you exit off. If you don't think it could go off, you're telling me though, Fallick, that the White Sox will be chalk, the A's are going to be chalk too. This is the chalk hitting game.
Yeah, right now, from what I am seeing, they are it's like not even close.
Wow.
Like third is the Cubs, but it's looking like to me, and DC may disagree, but you're looking
I don't
at
disagree at all. Yeah, I think they're going to be
Chicago 1, Oakland 2, and Chicago 3. So Chicago, White Sox 1, Oakland 2, Cubs 3.
So you don't fade this game because the 2 teams suck. You fade it if you're fading ownership. That's what it is, right?
I mean, I don't. It's a 5-game slate, as I said, so I'm not sure that that's the right answer either. I will say that Oakland has 3 lefties in their bullpen, is what I see. DC, I don't know if you see anything different, but that's what.
Yeah, I think both teams have plenty where it's pretty hard to predict who's going to come into this game.
Yeah.
All right. Full game stack. Is that what we're looking at? I mean, if you really want to get weird, Lawrence Butler's in there at 2-3, and that kind of opens your lineup up for you. That's your cheap guy. Lawrence Butler hitting 7th for the A's. Problem is he hasn't done anything, but 2-3, I would take my shot on it, especially if he's one of the lower owned players in the game. All right, so that's
this year in the minors, he hit 15 home runs, 70 RBIs, and 21 steals. So he has it somewhere, and it's not like it was only 1 year. The year before, 84 games, 11 home runs, and the year before, 88 games, 17 home runs, 26 steals. So those are the guys, I think, that when you look at those guys and say, okay, why are we playing him? Because he's done jack this entire, since he's been called up. All you need is one game, and you need one good game, especially at 2.3K. And people are like, oh, why did we never play him? He's so cheap.
It's baseball, man. It's baseball. Run the stacks out there and figure out the pitchings. It's easy, like Big T says, right? Tony, not here. DC's here. Toronto, Baltimore. I don't know how much you want to target Gibson and Barrios, but rolling in this game, okay?
Yeah, lefties on both sides. Unfortunately, Toronto doesn't really have guys that are inspiring just besides Belton and Varsho. Those guys, despite a decent matchup. And then I think the Orioles lefties are more interesting to me. That top 3, Rushman, Henderson, Santander against Barrios. If you do want to get different tonight, I do think those 3 guys will be lower owned and have big upside. So I don't mind that. But personally, this game, I'll be kind of hoping both pitchers are fine, but don't get blown up or put up a huge performance. Kind of see, a 4-3 or 5-3 game, something like that here, where maybe you don't need anyone pitching or hitting wise from this game. That's what I'll be hoping for, because I won't have a ton of this game either way.
All right, Apone. Severe thunderstorm warning in Milwaukee, not far. It's about 100 miles from Miller Park to the south side of Chicago. So the storms are north of you, like Straight Cash Homie says. This will be good. Phallic, if I'm building this game, Toronto-Baltimore, how am I building it?
Yeah, DC said it. It's the lefties. Definitely, you're going to need to use them probably as a mini stack more than anything else, because most of them are outfield and first base lefties. You have a third base and a shortstop, shortstop for Gunnar Henderson, and then Biggio is a second baseman. But it would be the lefties for me. I don't have interest in it, though, personally.
All right, let's get to the third game here. We've got Just Steele on the mound for the Cubs. So it's going to be tough to trust Pirates, but if you really want to get different, you can go with Pittsburgh on the other side. We talked about Jackson and Zastrinsky going to the mound for Pittsburgh. So DC, do you have any interest on the Cubs side? Is there a one-off or two with Pittsburgh we can consider?
I don't love Pittsburgh. Brian Hayes would be my favorite play leading off against the lefty there. But yeah, I won't be playing much, if any, Pittsburgh on my lineups. Cubs is more interesting. I think me and Kevin both like Andre Jackson a little bit, but it certainly doesn't mean that the Cubs aren't in play. They've got some interesting bats. I mean, Cody Bellinger, what a resurgence for him. I think he's interesting. You can pair him with Ian Happ, Suzuki. The middle of that lineup looks fine. I prefer the A's and the White Sox and the Diamondbacks and the Twins to the Cubs, so they're kind of low on my list, but definitely like the Cubs over the Pirates side.
Yeah, I think Steele's going to be – he might not even be the highest owned pitcher on this slate, will he? Steele, to me, is just standing out like, wow, he could have a monster night. Phallic, what do you want to do with this game? Any Pirates or Cubs?
So I think the Pirates manager just says, okay, these three are going to be my top three bats tonight. I'm going to put them top three in the order. And then the next six, it's like, I'm going to give each one of them a number on a dice and just roll it and see which one comes up. Is kind of, and it switches for righty because we get our boy Ji Hwan Bae goes up to the number one, and then Brian Hayes becomes the dice roll of the six. Like, I don't understand how you can put Josh Palacios as the number 4 bat tonight. It makes no sense to me at all. Maybe I'm just crazy, but I've never seen Josh Palacios do anything for the Blue Jays or for currently the Pittsburgh Pirates. But anyways, I have no interest in the Pirates. For the Cubs, you can definitely pick out some pieces, as DC said. It's just they were smart and they flipped the order to an extent. Like, normally you'd see Tapman at the number 1 spot in these type of situations, but they're playing the righties versus the lefties for the top 3 spots, which definitely makes sense. They're just expensive. That's the other thing. Like, they're really expensive now. And I don't want to, like, if I'm stacking, I can only really do a mini stack of them because of the price tags of some of these guys.
Josh Palacios is the bad Palacios. His brother Richie was the one that hit the home run. For those of you that aren't subscribers, we had a long discussion about the Palacios boys. See DC smirking right now. Long discussion about the Palacios boys earlier in the week, and we were talking about them like at min price, and Richie hit a home run. So they're going head to head, brother to brother with the family there. And one Palacios was good, one Palacios was bad.
Muted again, 2 days in a row. What's happening to me? I was giving you a hard time, Holden, selling the premium product with with the story of the long discussion about the Palacios brothers. I'm sure people are gonna be clicking the sign up button in a hurry.
We dug up like the home run gem, DC. We dug up nobody wanted to play Richie Palacios but us. Nobody. So I would say that's a good job selling the site. Hey, Sub, speaking of that, get in a live show chat. If you got questions, we'll answer your questions. And then we'll get to the free questions because we got a little bit of time here. So subs, get your questions in the live show chat if you have them. Free guys, you can come over here too. and we'll try and squeeze some of your questions in there. 2 games to go. Texas, Minnesota would be the next one. Lopez, Heaney. Minnesota, is it a 5-man night for Minnesota? DC, a 3-man, a one-off, or nada?
I don't know if I had 5-man the Twins, but I do specifically like the 4 and 5 hitters, Carlos Correa, Royce Lewis against the lefty Andrew Heaney, who does give up a ton of home runs, specifically to right-handed bats. Don't mind Polanco. He's kind of expensive, though, and then Jordan Luplow does crush lefties. Problem is probably coming out for a pinch hitter as soon as Heaney exits the game. I do like the middle of this lineup, but I like them more as one-offs or maybe a mini stack on the Twins. And then I just don't want to pick on Pablo Lopez tonight when there are so many bad pitchers going, and he's been so good. But, I mean, if you wanted to play Corey Seager or Nathaniel Lowe to get different, I don't think it's the craziest thing to do tonight either on a short 5-game slate.
All right, what do we got here, Phallic? You want to roll with any of these bats in this game? Maybe a Texas bat or two, or hit some Twins?
Yeah, I would have interest in the Twins if it weren't for if you need the Ranger or the Twins to go off against Heaney, because if not, you're hitting what is now considered a pretty solid bullpen. Is the challenge. Like they overall have a pretty solid bullpen. I'm not sure I want to mess with that. I don't like the players on their bullpen personally, but they at least are pretty good right now. And again, the problem is, as DC said, you have they're going to pull these guys when changes are made. Like the Twins, it makes me sick that they're competing for a playoff spot. Like it just makes me absolutely sick that they are going to make the playoffs when teams like Toronto, Seattle, even my Astros are battling for the last wild card spots. It's very, very frustrating. On the Rangers side, I'm not going to play him against Pablo Lopez. I can't do that. So
I think they're going to kill leagues, the American League and the National League, before long in baseball. I truly believe that. There's just so much interleague play now that I don't know why. I don't even know why they have the leagues anymore, except for nostalgia, DC. Seriously, everybody plays everybody at this point. You still have divisions. I think they're going to realign the divisions. And I think they're going to get rid of leagues. That's what I think.
The Mariners are now in second place in the West after the Astros got demolished today, by the way.
Yeah, and then they're just not stopping. They're not stopping. All right, one more game to get to. Again, Arizona's playing good baseball. They've won 9 of 11 after dropping 9 straight. Cincinnati's been striking out like hotcakes. You love Merrill Kelly, DC, so I don't think you like any Reds. I like the Diamondbacks tonight against Williamson. Thoughts on some D-backs?
Yeah, Williamson, very home run prone to right-handed bats, almost 2 home runs per 9. Just leaves some real meatballs out there if you watch him to right-handed power. And the D-backs have the bats to take advantage of that. Specifically, Christian Walker looks really good to me, but also Tommy Pham, Ketel Marte, Lourdes Gurriel, all these guys I think are strong plays against Williamson. So I do like the D-backs behind both the White Sox and the A's, but still like them quite a bit. Merrill Kelly, I think my SP1 is close between Kelly and Steele for me. So I'm not playing the Reds, but it's a 5-game slate. And if you're looking to get different, the Reds do have power. They got speed. Kelly's not a pitcher who can't be beaten. I mean, we've seen it this year. There's really nobody that can't have a bad day from time to time. So, yeah, if you're looking to get different, if, punting the entry if it doesn't go well, I don't think the Reds are the craziest play on the slate.
Okay, very good. What's the consensus on this Lee kid from the White Sox?
No, I think he's a punt play, but I don't really. He didn't make the Astros, and the Astros kept on going to find other catchers for the last 2 years. He was a guy that was expected to make a run with this team, and he's never made it. He's literally been the number 2 catcher for 2 years now at spring training, and then they went and got Maldonado because they were unhappy with, they went and got what's his face?
Yandy Diaz?
Huh?
Yainer Diaz?
No, Yainer Diaz was the guy that we had before, but who was the guy last year? Castro, right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Ramon Castro?
No, Jason Castro.
Jason Castro, the Astro. Yeah.
Yeah. So like we've just been, and then they brought in Christian Vasquez after Castro got hurt because they didn't want Corey Lee to be the backup catcher. So it's just I don't think he's a good catcher personally. He could be in the future, but right now he's not there. Anyways, on the Cincinnati and Arizona game, I actually really like this game. Merrill Kelly gives up some hard contact, and if there's anything that the Cincinnati Reds do is they hit the ball hard. The thing is I wish they were a little bit more patient because Merrill Kelly also gives up walks if you could be patient, and right now they're just not doing that. But you got some. I think there's a lot of potential with the Cincinnati team going against Merrill Kelly. Like 50% hard contact for the last 30 days to both righties and lefties, pretty much. It's the ball gets hit hard. He's given up a couple home runs every single game for the last month or so. So, and that was against Colorado, that was against Minnesota and Seattle, and now you're going against a team that we know hits the ball hard. We've seen it all year with these young guys. So I'm definitely interested. I think that Marte is an interesting piece. You can play both Martes on both sides, get a little Cattell and a little Noelvi, and play the Marte brothers. I'm sure they're not brothers, but I'm just going to say they are, and then build around it. I would definitely avoid Nick Martini. I'm sure he's going to go for a home run now, but I don't want a guy from the KBO that's 33 years old. I don't know why he's batting fifth, but is what it is.
All right, we rolled through here. Would you say Lopez is a lock? No, Isaac. Lopez is not a lock. He's pitching great though. He might be pitching better than anybody on the slate. Well, he's got to be, right? He's got 19 straight scoreless innings, so he's been throwing really well, limiting hard contact as well. Before we get to the plays of the day, I want to remind you, hit the like button. That would be absolutely magnificent. NFL 20% off, lifetime of your subscription, not just now, like always, 20% off the lifetime. There's inflation going on. Who knows how much it's going to cost 5 years from now? You're going to want to be here. 20% off NFL 20, NFL 14 days away. We got showdown content we've been absolutely killing. Oh my goodness. Bruce has been putting together these preseason projections, and they've been crushing in the preseason. I'm about to hop off and make sure that we get that I get my lineups in there. I got baseball. I got preseason tonight. Fallick, you playing preseason?
Yeah, I'll throw a lineup in. I always do, and especially the classic slates, I'll throw a lineup in because Bruce is just the man in regards to, and the playbook provides a really good understanding of what the rotations look like, and then Bruce gives you some of those gems, the hidden gems that'll get there, as well as the guys that you just got to play. It's great.
You play a little NFL tonight, DC, or sticking to baseball?
Sticking to baseball tonight, yeah. But Bruce has been killing it, no question.
Yeah, he's been awesome, absolutely awesome. So we got that. We'll give you cores. During the NFL season, we'll give you cores. So all of our coordinators, great coordinators, led by Big T, JBC, AP, JSU, all these guys will be giving you the best NFL plays. They'll be giving you the guys that they're building their lineups around. So make sure you sign up NFL 20% off, lifetime of your subscription. Mom's basement play of the day, DC. Who's cleaning up tonight?
A lot of good options, but I will go out to Arizona, hopefully not stealing Kevin's play. Christian Walker.
He stole my play.
Yeah, Christian Walker.
Sandbagging SOB. All right, Fallick, you don't have a graphic today because we didn't know you were coming on.
All good.
Fallick play of the day. What is it?
I'm going to play Noelvi Marte as my call. He's young, 21-year-old, coming into the major leagues, and is finally going to have a good day. We're 4 games into his career, and his 5th game is going to be great.
I don't know what I just did here. Now it just looks all crazy. Let's see if we can. Oh, there you go. Right. They're beautiful. I'll eat a little bit of chalk. Is Geloff going to be chalk tonight? Zach Geloff. All right. I'll just eat the chalk tonight. Love the kid. Love the talent. Love the spot that he's into. Absolutely tremendous spot. So appreciate everything. that everybody hopped on the show today. For K Falcon, of course, my man DC, NFL 20% off lifetime of your subscription. Thanks for checking it out. Run Pure Sports, MLB, swing for the fences, and keep running pure.